raise your hand for you.
And those of you that
Oh,
have
so you heard this
heard
before,
it,
no? Right. Okay.
if you like me, I'm even teaching it. I find that even by teaching it, I'm reminded at a deeper level what we're talking about. So it's always pretty wonderful. And we never
You
thought.
want me to start the camera? Tell me when you want me to start.
You need to, we're already recording.
Okay. Then
Nothing more to do.
Okay. So anyway, welcome everyone, 2018 Spring Fling. And Rick and I, this is our 8th year giving this talk on pranic agriculture and biodynamics. Actually, originally, when we gave the talk, this is my partner Rick, when we gave the talk, the first talk we talked about pranic agriculture. And it was through further study that we realized the actual connection between pranic agriculture and pranic healing, pranic agriculture and biodynamics. Earlier today, if anyone got heard Arrest's lecture, he spoke about what is biodynamics by Rudolf Steiner. And we didn't know this, but our teacher of pranic healing, Master Joe Koksui, studied the work of Rudolf Steiner. And we found out at one point, you would hear him mention Rudolf Steiner, but we didn't realize the true connection. Until about 4 years ago, one of our master teachers presented a book to us, which was about pranic agriculture. And within the contents of that book was the discussion of pranic agriculture and biodynamics, which we really kind of blew our minds, you know, that, oh, it was like all of a sudden it was like this. We thought, pranic agriculture, biodynamics. And then after reading this book, it was like, pranic agriculture, biodynamics. What's going on here? There's some true tie-in to both of these, that book that Rick just showed you. So I know Rick wants to read something to you before we get started. So I think probably most of you, well, let him go.
Well, thank everyone for coming out and letting us speak today, and especially to Sue and Arrest. And welcome to Spring Fling number 9. One of the things I kind of want to open a little bit on a downer because of the urgency of the situation, but at the same time I want you to realize what we're trying to do. No, we're not trying to do what we're doing here and why we're doing it, okay? And this is just happened to be an article that I pulled out of the paper on May 1st, this month, 2018. And if you can see, our food is full of poison. Not your food that you're eating right now, but our food in general. All right, and I'm going to read this very quickly. A widely used weed killer that has been accused in lawsuits for causing cancer has turned up in nearly every common food in the United States, a report said Monday. Food and Drug Administration scientists found glyphosate is in everything from corn, granola, and oatmeal. And when they say corn, it's also corn syrup, which if you look at your boxes, and is in everything. With wheat crackers and honey. The Guardian reported, citing records if obtained from the Freedom of Information Act requested. There is a fair amount in all of them, FDA chemist Richard Thompson wrote to colleagues in 2017 email that was among the records. The FDA has been testing the prevalence of glyphosate in foods for 2 years, but hasn't released the results. How convenient. Thompson wrote that broccoli was the only food he had on hand that didn't show any traces of the herbicide. Another FDA scientist, or chemist, Netrong Chamkinson, found over-the-tolerance levels of glyphosate at 6.5 parts per million in corn. The Guardian reported. The safe limit is 5.0 parts per million. Lawsuits have claimed that glyphosate as the cause of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, although a study has concluded that it is not likely to be carcinogenic to humans. Quite frankly, I don't believe that, but I'll leave it up to you, okay?
So that's why the urgency. That's why groups like this gather here and there in the world, and we're very fortunate to be part of a group that's conscious enough that says, hey, what's going on? What difference can I make? Whether it's on an urban level or it's on a farm level, it doesn't matter. We all can make a difference. So, again, our talk is about pranic agriculture working with biodynamics. So let me tell you a little bit about pranic agriculture. And a lot of the information that I'm going to be sharing, Rick and I will be sharing with you today is coming from that book. Just to show you, the book is like, I mean, it was given to us 4 years ago. It was one of those, like, I guess they just bind so many copies and it's starting to fall apart and like we treasure it. We tried to get another copy, we can't, so this is our copy. And so we've gathered the most salient information and are bringing that to you today. But the information does come from this book. It was written by Krishna Mohan, and he worked with Master Choa Koksui, who is the founder of Pranic Healing. And they had a study group, they had a mastermind group that was actually working with the energy of pranic healing and the understanding of the energy of biodynamics and bringing both of that to the land. Okay. So that's kind of what we will be presenting today.
Question?
Yes.
Yes.
Question. Can you define for me pranic? When you say pranic,
What does
I
that
think
mean?
of prana as breath work.
Okay.
So pranic in this context is.
Prana is in everything. Prana is in the food you're eating.
Intrinsic energy.
It's that, it's,
Another word for chi or not?
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
another word for
Nice
chi,
word.
ruao,
Got it.
it's prana. So prana is in everything, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And, okay. So pranic agriculture with the study with biodynamics. Master Choa Koksui, as I said, he's the founder of Pranic Healing. He studied the work of Rudolf Steiner, and we would hear him, here's the interesting thing. We would hear him mention this man, Rudolf Steiner, in some of his lectures. He would just come up a little bit here, and it wasn't like it was a main part of his topic, but he would mention that name. And then we got involved in the biodynamics here up at the farm, because we were involved in Pranic Healing from 2003. But we got involved with this farm and found out about biodynamics in 2009. So 6 years have gone by. And all of a sudden, local friends of ours, Peter and Christine Jensen, they told us about pranic biodynamics. And then lo and behold, the name Rudolf Steiner. And we went, well, we know, like, we're like, whoa, look at that look, you know, like a dog looked like, whoa, Rudolf Steiner, well, we know that name, you know, we're familiar with that. And so they started to tell us about biodynamics. And it was in the following year that we had our first spring fling, using the work of biodynamics and working with the land. So that was, but Master Choa, long before, was already studying the work of Rudolf Steiner, was really knowledgeable of a lot of the work that he'd done. And he began doing those experiments, as I was telling you, working with Krishna Mohan, and did studies to verify, which Rick and I will talk about a little bit, the effects of biodynamics on agriculture, and biodynamics in agriculture. And some of those results that were being studied are going to be shared with you. Want to talk a little bit about this part, please?
Pranic agriculture is completely dependent on three main aspects: prana, chi, ruah, earth forces, and spiritual energy. And a little bit, I believe that the rest covered this morning with regards to the earth forces and the spiritual energy. We are combining those both with pranic agriculture and the biodynamics to get the results that we're seeking. Pranic agriculture works in harmony with nature. Pranic agriculture believes that nature is the only good farmer that exists, and farmers would improve their produce to the extent they imitate nature's way. Okay.
So it's really, in this part here, with Master Choa in the book Pranic Agriculture, he really emphasizes that we should look around us, we should watch how nature works, and really cue into that and really work specifically with nature, with nature's way. And a lot of the stuff that's done in pranic and biodynamics is ancient. You agree that's old stuff. They've used it for thousands of years in some way or another, giving back to Mother Earth, working with Earth. They weren't using chemicals like Rick was reading about earlier. They were using nature to work with nature.
I would say that the key element is that we don't use synthetic herbicides or fertilizers. I think the key, that being the main key, as far as going away from that, that's currently being practiced in the modern day agriculture, primarily in the United States, but other places in the world. So we are kind of going against that and more to nature's way.
Yeah, and that little image, I know it's a little, where's Yuri kind of like mystical. They put Vaseline on the artist for this, like fancied up that picture to make it kind of look a little more esoteric than just a piece of art with a man by a tree. Because you can see the aura of the tree trying to be illustrated by the artist, as well as the aura of the person by the tree, as well as the energy underneath the tree and the connection of the man to Mother Earth. So you can kind of get that image. And I kind of thought when putting this together that this was really perfect because that's who we are. That is how we connect to Mother Earth, whether you're conscious of it or not. Holy cow, what if you're conscious of it? And that's what we were talking about. You're going to see it's going to be the theme of the conversation this weekend. It's our connection to Mother Earth. And so, who knows, that man could be just thinking, what a beautiful tree, and that tree could be thinking, well, thank you, and all the beings, and it's all like kind of happening, you know? So that's kind of what, you know, we really want to always come back to, our connection. And Arrest said it quite well this morning when he talked about the thing that comes into play is the intention of the human being who's stirring the preparations, who's preparing, who's stuffing the horns. That's the spirituality, if you will. That's the spiritual alchemy, if you will. And that's what's going on. And so we are stewards of our planet. And we want to do whatever we can. Like I said, even if it's your potted plants on your balcony somewhere in the city, or if you own a farm.
Prana. Prana is energy, vitality, power. Prana is the foundation and essence of all life. The energy and vitality that permeates the entire universe. Pranic healers are trained in the understanding and use of prana to heal both individuals and the land in this particular case.
Right. And again, I'm going to go to the illustrations a little bit. How many of you are familiar with the work of Alex Gray? Okay, well, I really encourage you to check out his work because it's amazing. Because he is clairvoyant, and his illustrations really show.
Yes, there's a big coffee table book of his illustrations.
Yeah, just amazing.
Incredible, and he has a temple in New York.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Warwick,
Very
New
nice
York,
one.
yeah.
But what's great is he really does see that. And again, this is another depiction of us connecting to Earth, our energy centers, the energy centers of Mother Earth. Okay.
Bless you.
And the picture above, the other two pictures are human hands showing energy
You only sneeze once?
coming out of that hands, going out of the hands. And that's kind of what we do too. We don't realize it, but as and what pranic healers do, and how many pranic healers? I know I've got a few pranic healers in the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, I call it Qigong healing. but-
Qigong. Okay, so doing that energy work, that energy is coming from your hands. When a person is doing energy work, pranic healing, they're using that flow of energy to help to assist others. And a lot of that too is what's going to be going on with our pranic agriculture biodynamics.
Reiki?
And Reiki too, absolutely.
Of course.
So prana, energy, to talk a little bit more about your question.
The good doctor.
So for those of you who has anybody here, could they say, I've never felt prana? Because some people never felt it. Has everybody felt the energy between their hands?
No, yeah. Reiki.
Good. Okay, so we're going to do it again. We'll do it here now. It's going to be a cinch because everybody's felt it. So you're just going to put your hands like so. All right. And put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And just focus on the centers of your palms. as your hands face each other. And inhale as you focus on the palms of your hands, and exhale and feel that energy between your hands. Inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale. Just by the nod of your head that you're already feeling that energy growing between your hands, growing between your hands. Good. Excellent. Sometimes it's kind of interesting to take one hand and just lift it up a little bit, and then move it back, and then switch other side, lift up, and come back. And do you feel that little stretch of flow of energy kind of going with the flow?
I feel something changed.
Right?
I'm not sure
It
how
shifts,
it
because
changed.
sometimes you can actually feel like almost
Yeah.
like taffy, like it's moving. You getting that?
Could be heaviness, could be tingling, could
Yeah.
be heat.
So that's, again, the energy in your body moving, and you can use this. You can use this to bless, you can use this to heal, you can use this to heal yourself, to heal loved ones, to heal Mother Earth. Well, pranic agriculture is the culmination of energy from the healer, the life force energy of the land, and the energy from the cosmos, and our spiritual connection to the divine, working together to heal and support Mother Earth. And I know I'm not saying anything different than what Arrest said this morning. It's all about the intention. It's all about, as that little image shows, that person wanting to make that connection to Mother Earth, that person wanting to heal, whether they're healing an individual or they're healing a piece of land, doesn't matter. It's making that difference and doing that healing. Okay, okay. So here's where we get to share some of the stuff that's inside that really cool book that we love so much. Prana and the soil. Plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and humans affect soil formation. Some soils contain 1 million species of microbes per gram, making the soil the most abundant ecosystem of the earth. Pranic agriculture recommends every farmer to fall in love with his farm, with the soil and Mother Earth. And I put in red because it seemed to be the thing he really wanted to emphasize in this particular section. Every farmer should know and understand that soil is the soul of infinite life. Quote of Master Cho Kuk Sui. So, seeing soil differently. I don't know about you. I was a city kid. I grew up in Newark, down in Newark, yep, on it's not even there anymore. The house is gone. I think it's a parking lot for Rutgers or something. Down in Newark. But I remember playing in my backyard, and dirt was always very dry, very gray, almost pink gray color, you know, and we used to play in the soil. I never thought of soil like I think of soil now. And I don't know if any of you have that experience as you've gotten older, when you go to put a plant in a pot. I mean, the earth we do this same farming in Union. We don't have grass. We have a garden, and we have a vegetable garden in front of our home. So everybody else has grass. We have a garden, and kale and all this stuff. But when you put that blade into the ground to lift it up, to move the dirt around, or that pitchfork or whatever it is you're using, it's rich, it's black, it's abundant, and it looks just like this. Like you really feel that energy. You can feel the energy of the soil. So I'm done if you want to, because he works with the soil.
This is the key line. Okay, I mean, I've gone through the book a couple times, but there's certain things that jump out at me, and I'd like to emphasize when we speak about it. And in particular, this one. Some soils contain up to 1 million species of microbes per gram, making soils the most abundant ecosystem on Earth. I mean, you really have to think about it. Oh, this is kind of like a flippant line, but they talk about the Amazon, how many different creatures, insects, etc., are in the Amazon. But here we are talking about soil, all right? 1 million species of microbes per gram, right? In some soils, and the some soils is the some soils that we're trying to develop here, okay? And the reason that's important is because of the microbes and with regards to how they facilitate the growing of the plants, okay? The better the quality of the soil, and then I'm saying without synthetic fertilizers and without the synthetic herbicides, which tend to downplay and inhibit the microbial development, by going the other way, we're able to increase the microbial development. And that's what this is all about, okay?
So, the color, different soils have different color prana. We're going to talk a little bit about color energy here. It's actually an advanced course in pranic healing, so I'm just going to touch it lightly here for our purposes to understand that colors definitely bring a certain energy to us, to the land. And healing, these colors are used both in pranic healing in the advanced courses and in pranic agriculture, and are associated with, there are different associations for each color. Not all soils are the same. So, silty soil, the dominant energy is gold and yellow. That silty soil is pretty much what's in the upper left-hand corner, right?
Yep.
That's that black. Other soil types are sandy, loamy, and alkaline. These contain specific energies. Again, this is provided by Krishna Mohan in his book. They have different energies. Some lands have been contaminated with viruses or with pests or fungus. That's going to affect the land. Also, lands that were mistreated in the past. Roundup, we talked about that a little bit. Pesticides and chemicals. Dump sites. So you don't know where you're working or what's happened or if there were battles fought on that land, because that's going to change the dynamic. So one of the things that we're trained in pranic healing is to understand that even though something may really look good and clean, it may not be. And so you're trained how to feel for imbalances. You're trained how to feel for congestion. You're trained how to kind of get a sense of, is this healthy? Is this good? Is this clean? And how to clean it, how to energetically clean it. And so a lot of that is part of the pranic agriculture aspect. So when we get to a piece of land, we energetically clean the land, like we're trained to clean, energetically cleanse an individual using pranic healing. We would do the exact same thing to the land, to my fellow pranic healers out there. We would do the exact same thing to the land. So, anyhow, so if the soil has been contaminated, if something has happened there, you can prepare the land for whatever you're putting in it. Prepare the soil and energize it and clean it so that it's ready to go for whatever is the next thing you're going to do.
That's good.
Do you want to read the different soils and what the colors are?
Yeah, okay, I think that's the something that's part. Silty soil is gold and yellow, dominant yellow. When the black rich soil is that electric violet, with the electric violet is the dominant energy. I shared so much. I don't know if I shared everything. But I will be talking more about colors as we go on.
Yeah, it's interesting that violet is such a high frequency.
It's
so
divine.
that obviously, right.
Divine.
So that's
It's
why
a divine
violet.
energy. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I will be talking more. You'll see. We'll talk more about colors in here. The magical properties of humus. Let's see. Hummus is what we eat. Humus is what we put on. I always get them mixed up. They're spelled the same, aren't they? Is a savings account of prana and energy. So it's like one of the nicest things you can use for Mother Earth, and improves the aeration of plants. It provides oxygen, provides a cozy home for soil microorganisms, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Chelating acids are present that dissolve minerals and make them available to the plants. Humus is the farm's most precious capital. Energetically, it contains light yellow prana, okay, which changes to light blue as part of a continuous process. This helps the soil for fertility and facilitates water retention. So humus, as we all know, when we put humus in the soil, it is helping to retain that soil aspect. But the important thing is understanding that, how important it is to the soil, that it is that, he calls it the savings account of the most precious capital. Or did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll just give you a real life example here. We have a more or less a heavy duty clay based soil in Champlain Valley, which is very high in nutrients, but very dense. So the problem, let me say, the situation, not the problem, that we have here is that we want to aerate and break up that soil to allow the oxygen to come in. And by providing oxygen, it provides a cozy home for soil microorganisms, okay? So we use peat moss, I even use perlite, I use compost, decomposting materials that help break up the soil, and all of these things used to get the best qualities out of the existing soil that we have here, but at the same time allowing that aeration in the soil itself, okay? Each soil has its unique characteristics, which we touched on briefly, but that'll give you a little idea of what was involved with the development of the soil that we have right here on the farm and in the Champlain Valley, okay? And you can see little by little, as we developed the different beds, we're moving our way down the field, but a step-by-step process, okay? Normally, you could actually grow things. As you can see, there's grass out there and pasture land, but it'll only go to a certain point based on the density of the soil and the nutrients that are in there and their ability to release. But by opening up and aerating the soil, that's when we get these really nice root formations and maximum development of the plants and nutrients in the plants. Okay?
And I know Russ was talking about that this morning with the biodynamics, how the layers get deeper and deeper. The more the biodynamics is done on the land becomes richer, and the level gets deeper and deeper. Mycorrhizal fungi. This is really interesting, and I found out something for this talk that I didn't know before I prepared for this weekend talk. But these fungi form a symbiotic relationship, which I know I heard you talk about this morning, Russ, with all plants, where the final filaments of fungus attach to the roots of the plant by entering the tissue of the root. These hyphae are gossamer thin, 1 micron in diameter, and travel long distances to search out nutrients and moisture. These fungi can be purchased and placed on seeds or roots for amazing results. That's the part that never kind of blew over every time I did this for the last 3 years. Not this time. Because you can buy it. And I actually saw an application how to use it. You can take your seeds, you can have this little, it's like a powder. And you take your seeds, except for any kind of bean seed, but any other seeds, you could just wet them, like soak them overnight, and then take them and put this little this powder on them and plant them. Then if you have a potted plant, so say you're going with a potted plant, same thing, you could take this fungus and rub it on the bottom of your roots of your plant and then plant it. Because you're actually adding this fungi right to the base of the plant, right to the seed to say, oh, when it's out there, it just kind of goes out there even better. So the results were like tremendous. So I ordered some before I left to come here, so we'll have it Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay. Most important to know is chemical fertilizers destroy these hyphae.
Unfortunately.
So my neighbor, he's not there anymore, used to say to me, I have some of this, you want me to put it on your lawn? I go, no. I have Roundup. You go, no. You always come over and want to put stuff on my lawn. It's like, no, try not to put it even near me. Like, oh, it was like so frustrating because he was using all this stuff, you know. So it is out there, unfortunately. But I think the thing with pranic agriculture and with biodynamics is going back to that little picture of the guy standing by the tree. You set the intention. You work your land, however you work your land. You're the one that makes the difference. You are the one that makes the difference, whether it's that little potted plant or if it's a farm. And so that's the thing that we have to keep in mind is that we're stewards. We walk the land, we water the plants, and, you know, it's our job, that's what we do.
If I may. If you can see, I don't know if you can see it as clearly as we can in the book, in this, but when you actually pull the plants out after harvesting the fruit, you can see this expanded root development of the plants, and that's how we know, and it's kind of interesting, yeah, because as we developed and we moved down the field, if you have a similar plant variety or vegetable variety, you can notice that the ones at the higher levels, that the soil has been improved more over time, has a stronger root development than the ones that are, let me say, a year or two behind in the development and the maximizing of the strength of the soil itself. Does that make sense or no?
Yes.
When we're doing a lot of the biodynamic treatments also, we are facilitating the development of this microbial development of this netting in the soil and also in the roots of the plants themselves. And as that gets better and better and better, you get to the point where sometimes you go to pull the plant and the plant doesn't even want to come out. It's like pulling back.
Yeah.
And then you poof, and you have to pull it out, and you see this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful root structure and fine, let's see, as we say here, this, what does they say, gossamer thin, but very, very evident, and you can tell that the plant has really been developing in the maximum level.
Yes,
So is that fungi applied to the soil or the roots of the plants?
it
or
can
both?
do, you can
Either
put it,
one?
you can put it on your seeds, or you can just apply it right to, so you buy a potted plant, you take it out, and those little roots are, you can just dampen it a little bit, or stick it in water, and then take your fungi and just place
Well,
it
I'm
around.
asking because my daughter already planted her.
Well, then I
seeds.
would put it in water, because I'm gonna do the same.
put it
I'm
in the
adding it to
water.
water and adding it to the soil, just digging it up a little bit.
Right.
and add it.
Does
That's
the
what I'm
seeds-
gonna do, because we've planted almost everything.
Right, okay.
What
Yes,
about,
I'm sorry.
What about like crabgrass?
Crabgrass,
Like,
you
is there
know,
a way to?
just, I mean,
I'm gonna address that in my lecture.
Okay.
there you go.
Save that question.
Okay, well, say that question.
Yeah, I'm really curious, you know.
Yes,
yeah, I was gonna ask about grass in general,
yes.
because we need to restore our soil. The chemicals have done the job.
Yeah.
We're in a community where we've stopped them from putting down poisons, but not the fertilizers.
Well, if you do work with the preps, you're gonna go home with a little jar, right? And if you place that on,
Yeah.
well, like crabgrass, I would say, but then.
There's another aspect. We've been conditioned by the industries to think that we have to have these perfect bluegrass
I
lawns, and it's
know.
nonsense.
You're
It's
getting
total nonsense.
sleepy.
Yeah, well, I know, where we live, about, how many years ago? 6 years
Six.
ago, 6 or 7 years ago, we had a grass lawn in front of our home.
Uh-huh.
And then I saw something in the town next to me, Maplewood, had edible estates, and I thought, I'll check it out. And I drove past this person's home, and they put, I don't know if you ever remember the Victory Garden. Any Victory Garden
Yes.
people here?
CBS.
Sometimes, oh yeah, right, well, the original Victory Garden, he had these boxes that he showed you how to do this, 6 foot by 8 foot, square foot gardening, I think that's what it was called, right? So this is kind of what they were doing on this guy's property, so we went and we dug up our garden, we dug up our grass, and we left about, maybe there's like 8 feet, 10 feet of grass, which we just need a weed whacker, and we've got a lot of plants growing in there too, roses and stuff. But then there's an archway with grapes on it that leads to a garden that right now has kale, chard,
Lettuce.
spinach, collards. Our collards stayed last year and came back. We pretty much ate collards year round from our garden, except for the coldest of the coldest days. And on the coldest days, the collards just went like, not now. And then when it got warm, like it was maybe 50 degrees in the winter, it went, oh, take me. It was amazing. It was amazing. So we had vegetables pretty much all year round.
And the township didn't shut
And
it
that
down,
was the other thing. It's a good question. Because my biggest fear was, what are the neighbors gonna say?
Right.
And 2 people who are high up in the board, the town, go by my house and go, yes. And we just had a nice,
I was wondering if they were looking at you oddly.
I thought so
Yeah,
too.
'cause
I
we
was
get
very
that.
concerned, but we were just at a nice little gathering of our groups, and I said, I wanna make it, we were there when I said that, right? And I said, I wanna ask, since I've got everybody here, do you guys have a problem with us and with our garden? No, they will love it, we love it. So that was a good thing, yes.
So the mycorrhizal fungi, if I can add, if that's okay, kind of acts like a communication system between the
Mhm.
plants and the trees and the soil. So
Mhm.
it's bringing unity back into, and being able to sense how things are going. So it's really the communication of the land through the fungi.
It's almost our own avatar,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Communicated.
You know, when I first really started to understand that, I realized how delicate
It's very
it
delicate.
is.
Yeah.
It's super delicate.
You're seeing a lot of those plants that are like in areas like plantain and things like that, and the ground is really compacted, it's really depleted, and that's your indicators. Those are like your little telltale signs that something quite isn't right. I was in the store, speaking of Roundup, and this woman was there, and she says, "There are these grub problems in the lawn, and all these crows are coming by." I said, "Well, they're doing you a favor, are removing the grubs from your lawn, because there's an overpopulation." I said, "Instead of buying a chemical, why don't you add some more lime into your dirt, and it'll stop the grubs, so go away. They don't want to be in that kind of, you got a problem, an imbalance with your."
Yeah,
your
exactly.
That's what we have.
So but it is very holistic, because it is us being conscious of what works, what doesn't work, finding out natural ways to deal with the conditions that might not be favorable ones. Okay, but bottom line, do not use chemical fertilizers.
Thank you.
Okay. Rita? Okay. Cosmic rhythms. Cosmic and earth rhythms sustain all of life on earth. Life is sustained in soil where farming activities are aligned with natural rhythms of life. And that's what biodynamics is all about, the cosmic rhythm of things. Increased vitality of life comes from food grown in living soil. So Arrest mentioned today hydroponic. It's like there is a difference, you know. Yes, you can eat the other. How good is it for you? How long will it sustain you versus something that's grown in good, healthy, organic soil? Earth, it has breathing rhythms. Sun has day, night, and seasonal rhythms. The moon, and I know most of you probably already know this, but it's just understanding that the cosmic rhythms, along with Mother Earth, it's all intertwined. Again, go back with the guy by the tree, the sun, the moon, the seasons, it's all interconnected. And we're part of that system. And we can be just part of it, or we can consciously be part of that system, making the difference wherever it is, even if it's in the choice of the foods that we eat or feed our families.
May I ask a question?
Certainly.
So, in our house in New Jersey, we live in Bridgewater, New Jersey, my wife designed what she considers to be her meditation room. Okay, it's very nice, sunlight coming in and all. And we have lots of plants in there, right? And she feels like that the plants are like creating a very positive field to meditate in. So I'm listening to this and I'm wondering whether or not there would be a way of sort of like enhancing sort of like the pranic energy field of those plants by doing some of this stuff for those plants.
You can get the biodynamic prep. That's
Yes.
what you're going to get. You can
Okay.
put that in you can put that in your potted plants. You know, you can spray it on your potted plants. There's a lot. Just sending energy. You know, those of who do Reiki or any kind of Qigong energy,
Beam
sending
them.
that energy. Beam them.
Yeah.
I never thought about beaming, but my gosh,
course.
our dog and our plants have gone crazy.
So has ours.
So, you know,
Or
so
solid
yeah,
rock.
so this like just increasing the energy, but I mean, just on your own, by yourself, you know, just blessing your plants. In fact, there's this cute little story. I don't remember which teacher was talking about healing, because we do a lot, as pranic healers, we go to these different conventions about pranic healing and understanding it. And they said one of the funniest things they ever got, I know what it was, they were talking about when you become a teacher in pranic healing, you have to have so many cases that you've accomplished. And one was healed rose. But they healed a rose. A rose plant. If they healed a rose plant, they said they thought they healed a person, but it was actually a rose plant that the person healed. And it was kind of funny. It still counts. And it still counted as a healing. But it was pretty funny. I said when they realized it was actually a plant and not a person.
And also
Kinda
those
cute.
citrine crystals in particular for pranic agriculture. and we can discuss later.
Citrine?
Citrine.
Citrine.
crystals,
Depending on our
healing
time.
and
Good yellow.
pranic agriculture.
Okay, so pranic agriculture, biodynamics, why cows?
Yes.
What are those things doing again?
According to ancient Indian text, all beneficial forces like gods, devas, sages, rishis, and divine spirits are said to dwell in the body of a cow. The products from the cow have the ability to bring in the flow of cosmic energy. Cow dung has the amazing ability to attract life such as earthworms, MCKS, and Krishna Mohan. Mastermind team, clairvoyant observation. Cow is the only animal that can directly receive gold prana from its crown, and its horns have the capacity to hold and ray back this energy biodynamically. Lactating cow is found to have 100 times more gold energy. Golden gummies of energy are found in cow milk. Cow urine contains divine healing energies, dominantly electric violet again. This has the capacity to work as a pesticide and never loses its capacity, no matter how long it is stored.
It's pretty
One native cow is capable of fertilizing as much as 10 hectares of land, approximately 25 acres, which is a lot. Okay. This is 102 in this area, so you can figure out how 25 is a
cows.
big chunk. Study the work of Rudolf Steiner, I'll tie this in, just a little bit more information to fill this one out. We used, if you see the piles, the compost, those are predominantly cow manure, okay, that's been aged, all right, and we're working that consciously into the beds that we're ongoing development to crisscross back into the biodynamics that Russ spoke about earlier today. The horns, when we prepare one of the treatments for the soil, is actually packed into the horns and buried, okay, in the fall, and then dug up again in the spring after they've been energized. Okay, so there's a very big crisscross between biodynamics and pranic agriculture with regards to that. And the most important thing, because I had this one marked, I forgot that we had it on the presentation, is I wanted you all to realize the importance of cows and why, if you see in the Indian culture, thousands and thousands of years old, they still honor the cow. And they probably don't even understand why they honor the cow, but now you understand why they honor the cow, okay? And the fact, it's like almost a full-service animal, not only providing the dung to improve the soil, but also the urine that you can use as a pesticide without chemicals.
Yeah,
It's really amazing.
and then when Arrest said earlier, what are the names of the little?
Zebu.
Zebu. So they're little miniature cows, and so, but just by the mere fact that the cow urinating with the pesticides, you know, like all these wonderful aspects of it, and so we've got to get some Zebu for Old King Farm. That'd be really good. Okay, and just at the bottom in red, Master Choklok Sui studied the work of Rudolf Steiner, as I shared with you earlier, and through clairvoyant observation could realize the benefits of the preps 501 and 502. Will we be doing more talk about those, Arrest, 501 and 502? Will we be doing more talk about 501?
Not really.
No? Okay. All right. Do you want to?
Somebody asked me a question.
Okay. Well, when you're up, maybe if they want to ask a question, they can ask you, because I think you can speak more fluently about it. But anyway, so he really did understand like how these different things worked. Master Choa, studying the work of Rudolf Steiner, how the relationship between the two, and the importance of cows. And I love the part about the golden prana coming from the cow. I mean, that's pretty amazing. You know, you wouldn't know why, but that's why. And in fact, a couple of people who were very into biodynamics, when I did this first talk, I don't think they didn't know that originally, that the gold prana was in the female cow in the horns.
Steiner talks about sine waves, sinusoidal waves of cosmic energy in the spiral, like the architecture of the horn.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a lot into that.
Yeah. So that was for us as pranic healers, that was pretty cool to learn. Okay, again, more on this, pranic agriculture and biodynamics. Clairvoyant observations on the preparations by Master Cho Kok Sui. Oh, here it is. Of 500, energies are bluish violet. So what does bluish violet mean? Compared with the energy descending from the soul, loving, compassionate, and has the ability of alchemy. This is a prep 500. Loving, compassionate, and has the abilities of alchemy.
Transformation.
501, signs of absorbing and attracting heaven energies which help soil building and crops. Help soil building and crops. Brilliant gold energies are seen in this. Earth elements, the earth element influences the root. The water element influences the leaves. The light element influences the flowers. Warmth element influences the fruit and the seed. But you talked a little bit about this morning, the fruit and the seed, like getting those energies. So, you know, just to kind of give you an idea, these are just the preps, 500 and 501. Well, look what you're getting from 501. You're getting brilliant gold, you're getting a warmth element, an earth element, and a light element
Amazing.
from one prep. So, you know, if you can't make the prep yourself, like Hugh Courtney does down there in West Virginia, right? It's West Virginia?
Oh, Virginia.
Virginia, then you can get it from him, Earth Legacy. Okay. Chronic agriculture and pests. So we talked a little bit about pests. There's good pests and there's bad pests.
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry, she just left. Jeannie left. She was there, she was talking about it. Chronic management of pests and disease is based on the understanding nature and adopting nature of friendly techniques. In nature, there are only two types of insects: herbivorous insects that eat plants which are harmful and cause economic loss, or carnivorous insects that eat the other herbivorous insects and benefit farmers by reducing pest damage to crops. The number of species population of the latter is more than the first one. In the name of killing pests by using chemical pesticides, we should not eliminate beneficial pests. You get that? We're spraying this stuff down. We're probably killing some really good bugs. And like Jeannie was saying, grubs would eat. The crows would eat the grubs, which would then take care of that problem. It's like letting nature take care of itself, finding out what works, planting certain type of plants. So rather than kill, repel insects. Select herbs that are not browsed or eaten by cattle and create a biopesticide. Suggestions are plants that are bitter to taste, plants with a bad odor, plants with latex, plants that are poisonous. Like we have a lot of milkweed up in the hills, you know, which is great. The bees love it. The butterflies love it.
Monarchs. Yep.
Yeah, the butterflies love it. So like you can get the right kind of stuff in the ground to help offset, you know, and have the carnivorous insects take care of the bad boys. Any questions?
Just a little add on this. The group that eats the plants, or let me say, a pest, is a pretty small group. So really, logically, it doesn't make a lot of sense to eliminate everyone just because you want to get rid of the small group. So we make an effort to encourage the growth of the plants so that they're so strong that they can resist the pests, okay, for example. And at the same time, we encourage the birds. I don't know if you noticed the bird situation here, but we have a lot of helpers, both big ones and small ones. And if you look, you take a few moments to just look out for a while, slow down, you'll notice that they go out into the fields and they get the insects and they come and bring them back to the nest. And we even have, if you're lucky enough to catch the peacocks, they actually are going, I'm noticing it now, going through the garlic and getting the bugs, and I can see them, and I can actually see the garlic is kind of bent down a little bit because they're getting a little big now. But I know that they're walking through the garlic beds and doing their job to help support our food. So we're making the effort to be complementary, and these are just some examples of what you can see by not using the herbicides, and let nature take care of itself and complement both the insect kingdom and the bird kingdom to work as one.
control. Insects and worms identify plants by the odor released by the leaves and the flowers. Biopest repellent emits a very bad odor. Pests are driven away from the field. So you want to get the plants that will chase them away.
Sticky.
Yeah.
Stink.
We have protocols. If you're interested, contact us. You can contact Rick and I. Ingredients. These are some ingredients you can use. Vitex, Negundo. I'm not going to try and read all of those. Aloe vera, I'll read the ones I can read easily. Ginger, garlic, red, green chili, cow urine, crop rotation, and green manure. So turmeric powder also. Turmeric's good for lots of good things.
And neem.
And neem also. Okay. Next, color observation. Pumice contains light yellow prana, which changes to light blue as a part of continuous process, helping the soil fertility and facilitates water retention, which I kind of talked a little bit about before. During photosynthesis, light whitish colored pranas are absorbed from the soil. These pranas change to red when they enter the body of the plant, and when they move into the leaves, they turn to a light green prana. During photosynthesis, presence of light pink colored energy is observed on the surface of the leaves. It is not inhaled by the leaf, but absorbed in a cycle. The union of pink and green prana is observed. The activity of the leaves in absorbing energies from nature is passive. What I'm reading to you here is the color observation done by Master Choakovsu with clairvoyance of what is actually happening with this pranic biodynamics and pranic agriculture, what's actually happening with the plants. Okay, so we're going to do two little things here regarding pranic healing before we end our session here right now. I'm pretty sure we're near the end. Let me just make sure.
Yes.
We're close. We're getting close. There was, I was there, right? Okay. We do this thing called Atma Namaste in Pranic Healing. And how many of you are familiar with Atma Namaste? Okay, very nice. So with Atma Namaste, typically what we do is we look into each other's eyes. All right, so we look into the eyes of another individual and we say Atma Namaste as we look into their eyes. And in so doing, your spirit, your soul energy is actually coming through, generating. When they say when you look into the eyes of a person, you're looking into the soul of an individual. So we're just going to take maybe like a minute and a half, find a partner, and we're just going to do Atma Namaste, okay? So you're going to look into the eyes of your partner. Why don't you, I'll do it. No, I'll do it. I'll say it. Look into the eyes of someone, an individual, a partner.
Okay.
Good.
All right, we're good. Okay. And so as you're looking into the eyes of that individual, just you can say it verbally if you want to. You can bring your hands to your heart center in prayer. Are you okay? And you can say Atma Namaste. And you can say it softly. You can think it if you choose. Atma Namaste. Atma Namaste. Sending that loving energy. Atma Namaste. Just continue to say that. Again, you don't have to say it. You can just think Atma Namaste. Smile at your heart. Send waves of love. Look into your partner's eyes. Okay. When you're comfortable, if you want to stay for a little bit longer, if you feel you want to give your partner a hug, you can give them a hug. Whatever feels right.
That's nice.
So what's nice about that is you really just making that connection. You can make that same connection to your land, to your home, to your loved ones, to your pets. It's just sending that loving energy, that I'm namaste, as I respect you, I respect who you are, I respect, all about you, whatever it is. It can be used on soil and water, besides working with another individual. We achieve oneness with the higher soul and with nature. And water can be programmed. And I know that Arez spoke of Masaru Emoto earlier. How many of you are familiar with Masaru Emoto? So if you haven't, so only a small amount that aren't familiar with him, but you can check out his work. There's so much on the internet of before and after, like when they did blessing, when they had the blessed water and when they didn't have the blessed water, and the difference. And it's astounding what difference it makes when that healing love energy is sent. Yes.
So you can, I never thought, out of all the times we've done Namaste, I never thought to do it to like water or place. So it will basically help restructure the water, and right? Restructure
Yes.
the right?
Absolutely.
Doing Namaste.
Just doing Namaste. Love
I mean, I knew that like blessing or like other prayer.
I mean, there's so many things you can put the word gratitude, love, peace,
on the pod.
and then you can also say we do it. We used to have the barrels. I don't have them anymore. The barrels we would write on the barrels, and if we have the barrels that we can write on this year, we'll write on the barrels. Peace, love, gratitude.
It does restructure the water.
It does. Okay. And again, you can use this various techniques of pranic healing are used to heal livestock, pets, poultry, fish, and even beehives. How many of you would like to feel how many of you, you probably, again, like I know that you guys got this down, but some of you maybe never have felt the energy of another person. Would you like to just feel the energy of another person if you haven't? So, show of hands? Just try it? Okay, let's do it. So, two's good enough for me.
Unanimous.
So I'm gonna have, you've done Reiki, I guess you do Reiki. Okay, so just sit forward just a little bit. What I'm gonna have you do
Official.
is, using your right hand, let your left hand rest in the heart chakra central area. Find a partner. What I'm gonna have you do is just bring your hand maybe about 10 inches away from the individual to their shoulder. So you're gonna work on their shoulder. And you're just gonna, I'm gonna do you right now. You're gonna come to the shoulder until you feel something. I want you to rub your hands a little bit, press the palm of your right hand, and then bring your hand down and just see if you can feel anything. Mild shift or change in temperature, heat. Don't get too close. Okay, thank you. Okay, so why don't you do right now? Here, I'm gonna just tell you something. You got it? You feeling it? Good. Why don't you work, then you can work with her too when you're done.
Oh.
Once you're done, once you two got it, then, okay. When you're scanning someone, when you're going to scan their energy, what you want to do is you don't want to go right up against them because, let me explain something. If I wanted to feel this table, I would just go like, I could see the table, so it's very easy for me to feel it. If I wanted to feel the energy of a flower, I'd probably approach it a little differently because it'd be such a delicate, the edge of a flower. You don't want to just smash the flower, right? If I wanted to feel the energy of a live butterfly, and I had a trained butterfly sitting on my finger, when I would go to feel that butterfly, I would go very, very, very gently just to touch it, right? That's a butterfly, and I could still see it. Now I would just want to feel energy. Well, if I just want to feel energy, I'm going to come in very slow because energy is so subtle, right? So if I'm going to feel that energy, I'm going to come in very slowly until I feel something. And most of the times when we're teaching pranic healing, people will say, well, I don't feel anything, because they're going like this, because they're expecting to feel something like very defined and definitive. Whereas that's not the case. It could just be a subtle change in temperature. It could be a slight tingling. It could be cooler to warmer. And you know what? They'd all be right. If everyone said, I felt warmth, I felt tingling, I felt, something, pressure, they'd all be right. Because everybody feels energy a little differently. There's no, one way to feel it. So how many now felt something? Good, okay, good. Excellent. So in pranic healing, that's what you're trained to do. You're really trained to feel energy, how to move energy, how to move congested energy, how to bring clean, fresh energy to an individual, how, to the part of the body that needs healing. All right? So you're really trained how to work with the energy body, all right? And understand the energy body. Okay? Anything you want to get into that?
Can I ask a question?
Okay. Yes.
I missed the very beginning, but what is the difference between Reiki and Pranic Healing?
It's a good question. The difference between Reiki and pranic healing is specifically this. In pranic healing, we use a thing called etheric hygiene. Etheric hygiene. So when we are working on someone, we have a way to work with that energy so that it's safely removed from the individual. We also learn how to work with energy so that we're safely not taking on. So there's techniques that you're trained and how to work with energy so you're not absorbing, and whatever you take from the individual is going into a disposal unit that it doesn't go back to the person, and it doesn't come to you, and it doesn't go anywhere it shouldn't go. So etheric hygiene is number one. Number two, probably to me, the most important thing is understanding chakral body connection. So if you're working on the solar plexus, what are you really working on? What organs are being affected by that work? If you're working on the heart chakra, if you're working on the throat chakra, it's really understanding what you're affecting. And in fact, once you start to really understand the chakras and their purpose for the physical body, you don't have to there's a book full of protocols. You don't necessarily have to have the protocols with you. The book,
Okay.
because you understand, yes.
Well, it sounds like it's going deeper into the chakras.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Reiki, I'm trained in Reiki too, but it's
No, that is the difference, and the reason why
it's deeper.
it is, and I'll share with you, this is my own personal experience. So Rick and I have been teaching pranic healing since 2003,
Okay.
and we've been teachers since 2006. And I always was worried about that question. I feared that question.
This question I just asked.
Absolutely. How am I going to answer that? How am I going to answer that? Until I started to understand what we were doing in pranic healing, and I happened to know a few people that were doing Reiki, and it really is night and day. Even though it's energy, and it's beautiful energy, they both are, there's a deeper teaching in pranic healing as to the chakras. And I happened to get to go and talk to about 15 nurses up at Hunterdon Regional Medical Center up in New Jersey. And I went there, and there were about 15 nurses sitting around a table, and about 12 of them were Reiki practitioners. And I got asked the question. But I was ready for them. And you know what? Not a single one of them said to me, I'll be right with you, not a single one of them said to me, no. They knew that this is true.
Right.
That they did.
Yeah, makes sense, but, also when you talked about what organs are being affected, it's almost like you're going into the anatomy as well.
You are.
Whereas Reiki, you're not really covering the anatomy, because this is where the chakras are located.
Right. So you are. So you do start to understand the physical anatomy. And that's when I speak to nurses, when we teach nurses, we've taught a lot of nurses in our class, when we would work with nurses, the one thing that was key is I would say to them, I love working with nurses, because I said, you know the physical body, and they're not going to deny they know the physical body.
Right.
Well, we know the energy body,
Yes.
and we understand the physical body and the connection. So if you ask me, pranic healing, understand the energy body as well as the physical body and the connection.
You were saying about Reiki, you're saying we take on energy?
No.
Because I don't take on
No,
anybody's energy.
no. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is pranic healing has built into it etheric hygiene. There's methods within pranic healing that when you're done working with an individual, as you are working with an individual, there's energy being moved around.
Absolutely.
How to move it in a way that's safe. That's all. So I'm just telling you I'm not saying that.
If I could put something into the discussion, I'm trained in 2 systems of Reiki, been doing it for a long time, amongst all this other stuff, and also very beginning level of chronic healing. Probably the single main distinction I would say is the degree of conceptuality of intervention, right? When you're doing Reiki, you're basically just plugging in. And polarity therapy, same thing. Polarity therapists will just hold the body, or they'll be above the body, and just go into the magnetic field. Parents do it all the time. I teach my patients who have kids how to heal their kids by just loving their kid and relaxing and dropping the chi down a little bit, loosening up all the joints, and just letting energy flow. So in Reiki, you're learning how to tap into and get out of the way of a healing energy coming in. In Pranic Healing, there's all kinds of levels of intervention. There's scanning, there's sweeping, there's like this thing, that thing. Then you go deeper, go into different chakras, the spin cards, the colors, the different, like almost like psychic surgery that they're doing on specific things like crystals. It gets very sophisticated. Reiki is very, very like Zen, man. One color, black. Like one flavor, right? Vanilla, right? It's there. You're there. The energy flows. In Pranic Healing, you're doing operations. And you have all these different concepts and senses of what's going on and intervening. That's the main difference that I see. But actually, they're both Buddhist lineages in different ways.
Yeah, it is. It's true. That's
It's
true.
a pretty good description.
Thank you,
They're very
Horace.
similar, but they're also very different.
Yeah, thank you, Horace, for that.
Quite a number of years ago, you guys would remember because it was them, I studied Qigong, Brian and Fran Company and Fran Monner, studied Qigong healing. They invited me to come to that inaugural training, like that first one. And it was very interesting because the way I remember this, and correct me if I'm misremembering this, was that in China, number one, Qigong work was secret. It was very secret. It was very closely held, and it was familial. So it was almost kind of like, the Italian, family spaghetti recipe is mine. I'm not telling you my secret sauce. And therefore, there were literally hundreds of different forms of Qigong, all different variants of it, and depending on a particular secret source. And that some of them were extremely specific. You would direct the chi to move from acupuncture point A to acupuncture point B along this meridian, and that was step one, and then you would do this and that. Whereas others, and particularly the ones that you were training that people used, was like a high-level qigong. It was the energy is intelligent, it knows where to go and what to do, and all you need to do is to kind of free it up and let it go with appropriate intent. And I heard that as kind of like the difference in computer languages. It's almost like some levels of Qigong, the very specific ones are like microcoding. You need, 14 binary instructions to load the accumulator with the number 1, before you can do 1 plus 1. And others are kind of like the Star Trek computer. Computer calculate the trajectory between Venus and Mars, like that, and the computer just knows what to do down at that level. So, it sounds to me like on the one hand, Pranic Healing can get down, at some kinds of Pranic Healing get down to that micro-coding level, it's very specific and like that. Whereas Reiki may be kind of like very high-level stuff. It accepts that the intelligence, of the energy, and that if you just kind of free it up with appropriate intention and let it go, it'll know where to go and what to do.
Yeah.
It
I got that wrong.
Yeah, no, I think
That's what
I would say that that's
Pretty
probably
close.
very true. I'd say
Yeah.
that's true.
The body's got 3 intelligences, and it just knows where it needs to
All
go.
right. Well, I'm gonna just wrap it up for us here and now, because I know that some of you all wanna get off to a couple things before the next thing, and it's getting warm in here. So, we do a lot of stuff with bees, and we talked a little bit about it, but there are protocols for bees and beehives. And again, we wanna say thank you to Krishna Mohan, Mr.
You
Chokla.
keep these here?
I don't think, actually, he used to have beehives down at the down the end. I'm not sure if he still does. But I know a farmer right over the hill has beehives, so we have local bees.
Local bees.
Yeah, and just a real quick, thank you for coming. We're having a good time. Hope you are too. And just to let you know, Rick and I will be teaching Pranic Healing in the month of June here in Vermont. If anybody's interested, that's here taking the class, but have a discounted rate for you if you wanted to take the class. Okay, it's a 2-day class, it's a 16-hour class. Your certificate would come from the Institute of Inner Studies in the Philippines, and it's the foundational course for the other courses. that they have, but it's a very great course, and like I said, we've had a few people take it.
Thank
So
you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Namaste.